me get my chips, okay?
Okay.
So, Saturday night, the big night, date night, Saturday night, Saturday night.
No plans, huh?
Not a one.
Well, good afternoon, or good evening, should I say, to the Oink Oink Date Night Show with Mick Armstrong. I'm the host. I'm the head of the herd at SeaPigs. And I've turned my own Saturday night into date night, and my first date is Ricky Willis. Now, Ricky Willis works for a company called Willis Events, and he's going to tell us all about that. I've known Ricky for, nearly 20 years, I think. But Ricky's also started his own business. I've also played rugby with him, or coached him with rugby. And we're also really good friends as well. So Ricky fits all three of my criteria. We're going to talk about basically Ricky's journey. And the pillars of the show, as I've said, are friendship, rugby, and startup. So, Ricky, nice to have you here. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Mick. It's an honour to be the very first guest.
I'm over the moon to have you, mate. So people are going to struggle with our accents. You've got me with a strong Northern accent and yourself with a strong Northern Irish accent. So we'll try and speak clearly. So I'm going to get straight into it, Ricky. So, do you remember the first time we met?
I was thinking about this earlier. You'd sent over some questions, and I was trying to have a think as to. I don't remember the very first.
No, I don't.
There's things I remember, certain things like along the way that kind of really, really stand out. Like I remember you coaching at Derby Uni, or the Brush for those who know it. And I remember like various nights out and your kind of character more than anything. But I don't remember like a specific night. One of the things that stands out for me in our friendship was whenever you had moved to London, and when we were looking to move down to London in about 2007, we were looking around Earlsfield, and you were walking down the other side of the street, and it was like the sun was shining, and I kind of remember there's certain things like that, and then we ended up moving there for about 7 years. So yeah.
The Earlsfield Mafia. You're part of the Earlsfield Mafia as well. So I want to get straight into it, and sort of, where did you go to school? What was your sort of younger days like?
So I'm from a town called Newton Ards in Northern Ireland. So I went to a local school there. Well, I went to primary school there, and then I went to a school called Campbell College in the east of Belfast, and then I moved again to Regent House, which is another school in Newton Ards for A levels. I wasn't particularly academic, I have to say. It wasn't. I was more there for the crack, and I probably should have maybe left after GCSEs and pursued a more like a non-academic, start career. But I suppose that you went down. So
we're all sort of pushed down that sort of you must go to university route at our sort of age, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was definitely given options, and there was like my dad has there's like a family business, Willis Heating and Plumbing, which is like it's one of the oldest companies, registered companies in Northern Ireland. It's like the VAT number is like 48 or something, I think. It's, so the company registration number. But there was things like I would have been working on building sites, from like 14 years old, and so there was always options, and there was always a Willis at the head of that firm. So it was always like that kind of, should I, take it on, or should I like maybe step forward? But I was just not I don't have a mathematical thinking or like an engineering kind of thought. So it was never really for me, but the option was always there. But I think in my own head, for whatever reason, it was the thing for me to do was to go to university and to get a degree, and that was what success would have been at that stage. And but whether or not that was right, I don't know. But I wouldn't, looking back, like I wouldn't change a bit of it. I've got a fine degree. Like I did not apply myself. I wasn't in the lab. It was scraping by the skin of my teeth. But I actually, funnily enough, I found some report cards. I was clearing out some stuff here while we're all stuck in during the lockdown. But
Yeah.
I found old school report cards, and they all said, every one of them, it was year like 4th year and 5th year, so year 2 GCSE years, was Richard is very capable if he just applied himself in every single subject and every single teacher. And yeah, I think that was me during school. You know, I had the ability to do it, but I was just really bored with that. You know, that I'm a much more sort of practical, hands-on, you know, kind of creative. I find things that inspire me. You know, that's what gets me kind of excited about it. So, right in a sense.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, I was very similar. I got sent down the engineering route, whereas my true route would be sort of creative. But if you were in the rugby sort of scene, then what is a creative? I mean, now it's something that is quite commonplace, but a creative in our day wasn't, was it?
Yeah, no, definitely not. And the thing as well, my brother was Chris. He was like really creative, and he was very good at art, and you know, he was. And he still is, but he went down that kind of traditional route with, you know, he's creative, so he did the art degree, and he went to St. Martin's Art College, and he works for an advertising firm. And I know I have a business that creates these class animations and videos and big live events, but it was never like, I would never been kind of thought of in like that kind of creative light, or, you know, bringing new ideas and energy, which I think is what I'm really good at now, is like taking someone's idea or initial concept and then bringing it to life, and developing it out and helping like develop messaging and whatever that is. But to take it back to school or university, like that just wasn't something that I had thought about in my own head, or it certainly wasn't, you know, encouraged out of me by the people who were educating me.
Guiding you, for want of a better word. But it wasn't sort of advised to you by people who were guiding you.
Yeah, and I suppose I didn't really. I had no idea what I wanted to do. You see, so I did like a geography degree at uni, like I have no reason why I wanted to do that. Like it was, you know,
easiest.
It was something I had a vague interest in, but you know, that was literally as far as it went. You know, I was okay at it in terms of the subject, but there was no kind of. I didn't do a geography degree with a thought to going, oh, I could do X, Y, or Z when I leave. It was the day I left university, I was kind of going, crikey, what now? You know?
What did you apply yourself at university?
What did I apply myself into?
Yeah. I'll break down sort of, it's for the kids.
I know it would be, like, as I say, it was more, I definitely wasn't there for the education. You know, the end result was for me to get a degree and walk away with a degree in my hand. But when I was there, for me, it was about the bunch of mates. Like I moved in to halls of residence and got on really well with the guys in my halls, and I immediately started playing rugby with the uni team. And it was that uni team, as you know, like you were the coach there for a fair few years, and it was. My generation there, it was so, there was like maybe 50 or 60 lads, I think, at one stage, and every single one of them just had the same mentality of being like a really close-knit group of guys, and like there was a lot of partying, and like it was just really good fun, and you could have phoned up any one of them, and you could have, you know, you would never have been without a group of lads. So I still look back on those rugby days and our uni days and think like what a, you know, how lucky we were to have, you know, such a good group of friends.
Rugby's the key, isn't it? I used to say that when I was younger, I could turn up anywhere in the world and join a rugby club and have 50 mates at the click of a finger, which is true, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I remember it was my first night in Derby, and I was in the pub, the Ram, across the road from my the halls of residence, and I saw one of the boys, which was, it turned out to be Greeny, I think, was in the. He had like the waterproof, you know, the uni training top, in the back, and I went over, and this was about a week before tournament started, so I was quite early, and I said, like, are you around for like a drink, or is anyone, when's training start? And the next night I was up training with the with the lads up at the pitch before the tournament started. So, but it was like instantly. Then it was straight in, and it was like everyone was round to someone else's house that night for like a
aftermath frivolities, shall we say?
I had a little cider and a bit of banter, yeah. But it was good. It was good. It was just there was an instant, like you said, there was an instant group of 15 mates that you just get on with, and there was friendship groups within that, but it was a close knit team. So.
Oh, bro. I want to move on to Willis events. So if you're going to pitch it to me in 30 seconds, how would you tell me about Willis events?
So it's Willis Events and Marketing. So I first of all, I hate the name of the company, and I'll probably get around to changing it at some stage. We specialize in delivering large corporate events and small business development style events, as well as content marketing, including animation and video. So my career started really, I've always worked in events, and I started working in hotels, and I kind of came through, and I was working for a business organization for a long time, and I just had this, again, I always wanted to do these big events, big live, if it was a conference or a big gala dinner or a black tie, award dinner, whatever it was. I just wanted it to be memorable, because there's so many of those are so boring. It's the same speakers, and so what I wanted to do was to make it like a show. So you would, it would be like an experience. You'd come in and sit down and be like, everything on the screens would be, full force. It'd be from an experience. You'd feel it, and like the music or the lighting or whatever it was. And so I was lucky enough to do some really, like, for example, I put on the first big dinner in the new Belfast waterfront ICC complex. It was like 1,000 people sit down dinner. Now, I did that with the business organization that I was working with at the time, but it was my life for 6 months leading into it to get it done. So it very much felt like it was mine. But at that time, it was you were kind of thinking I could produce all this. So we brought the sponsors for it together. We marketed the event. We created the concept for the event. We delivered the speaker. Everything was me and then my team that delivered it. So I kind of walked away from that going like I could do this on my own. But I went to another person. So I'd partnered with another company initially to deliver an aspect of it, and I kind of pitched the idea to this other businessman who specialized in content, like video content. And he really liked it, and he believed in it too. And so we started this company, and it went really well, really quickly, and we picked up some really good clients.
Yeah.
Now that relationship broke down quite quickly, but I was able to, just restart, just ended it relatively civilly, and moved on. And I started up the Willis Events and Marketing. Basically the next day. We kept on a lot of the clients, but we picked up new business really quickly, and it just kind of like kept on going. And I at that stage, because I didn't have the speciality in the video content and the animation, I was just doing the events. But again, just through a good friend of mine, Gareth Quinn, who runs a big at the time he owned a big conference called Digital DNA. It was a big technology conference, and a really fantastic conference. And there was a big gala dinner. And Gareth said to me, could you find a venue for an awards night for us? But I don't want any. It was a weird situation. He took me to that waterfront in Belfast, which is a big corporate, big black box essentially. Really fantastic facility, but it's not. You need a lot of imagination. It's very, very corporate. We walked out of it, and Gareth was like, I want you to find me somewhere, but the opposite of that. So we went to Belfast Cathedral, St Anne's Cathedral, and we put on this amazing event. We had like a house DJ and lasers and moving lights and booming music, and people walked in. I stood at the door and just watched people's reaction. It was like all these top business leaders walking into this room, into this big, huge cathedral, with this house music blaring out, and the lasers and the lights, and it was like a surreal moment. And it was just one of the things where you just knew you'd done something which was really, really cool. But at that point, then the company we worked with to deliver the content, one of their employees came to me and basically said, "Look, I don't want to continue working with where I currently am. Do you think there's an opportunity that we could work together?" Okay. And that relationship with Kieran has really gone from that. That was nearly 3 years ago, and that's been going absolutely amazingly recently. So we pivoted out of just doing events to now doing, we do, I would say, about 60% of our work now is video content and animation. So
that's right bang on trend, isn't it? At the moment, everybody wants video content. Hence what we're producing now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, well, I'm going to go to something a bit different. I want to know what your opinions are on Donald Trump.
I don't even know what to say. It's absolutely horrifying. It's like I watch his. I like politics. I'm really interested in politics, and I love American politics. And it's one of those things. Like I remember when George W. Bush was in. That was like when I was at uni, and it was like watching the TV with your hands in front of your eyes. And it's like this now with Trump, but much worse because he doesn't have the ability to see beyond himself, which is the most worrying thing, that he just doesn't. And he's happy to feed the fear. Like he is a clever man. There's no getting around it, but it's not necessarily intelligence like you're kind of used to. You know, he's extremely manipulative and divisive with how he does things. But it's horrifying to watch. And the worst thing about it is I think he's going to get in for like a second term. You know, it's
scary, isn't it? I mean, let's leave it there. I liked your very diplomatic summation of Donald Trump. I wouldn't have been quite so diplomatic. Right, okay. So imagine you're Boris Johnson now, right? And you've got control. You can do anything you want. What would you do to solve this or try and solve this COVID-19 issue?
He's got his hands full, doesn't he? I mean, I think, again, just on my own personal political views as to how this is all sort of panned out. I mean, I think that he's got himself in a bit of bother because of the historic policies of the Tories and what they've done with underfunding the NHS for years and years, and now they're not in a position to deal with a major crisis like this. So he's had to firefight a lot to get to this point, but he's also then immediately taken a lot of what looked to be potentially very bad decisions. But you just don't know. I mean, what can you do when you're in his position apart from listen to the experts that are around you and just take the advice that you can and try not to, make too many decisions that are based on your own personal, don't do what Trump was doing, and use your own special wisdom that, just listen to the experts.
Yeah, well,
it'll be a difficult situation, I think, in the next 3 months coming out of this as to how you phase people back into work life and into kind of normality without a spike or without people going bananas, basically, which I think is
it's so unclear, isn't it? I think that's the uncertainty which makes it really difficult. But I'm not a Boris Johnson fan, but apart from being in hospital, I think the Conservative Party, or the party who are in power now, done a really good job so far. I think there's lots of things they could do better, but as you know, and as I know, running a business, you have to make mistakes to learn what works and what doesn't. And the trouble is that these governments are doing it on a pedestal with the press watching everything that they're doing. So they can't learn from their mistakes because they get pounded every time they make a mistake.
Yeah. I saw this, like, an interesting graph there. There's obviously so much going out there. It was one of these graphs that basically said if we flatten the curve, then this is what's going to happen, and these different things are going to play out with that. And one of the things is that as the curve flattened, that predicted at this point the media will begin to jump all over the government and start criticizing that they have underutilized the hospitals for other areas or other illnesses, that they haven't done this, that, and we are in that time at this, right as the curve starts to flatten, and here we are. The press are immediately starting to, they do not let people get on with it. Their interests are self-serving, and it's not about the interests of the country. It's an awful. And then you see things out there today like calls for people to continue buying newspapers or to buy newspapers. I think this country would be a much better place without a few of those newspapers. The media and press have just become so divisive, and it's either left or right. There's no kind of middle ground for just the news,
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you. I just think that the press are about getting people to watch their news show, not about telling you what you need to know. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Look at Fox News in America is the example of it. Like that is just peddling hatred and bigotry, but it's just it's just deliberately run like that, for the audience that they're trying to get to, which is terrible. But
Dave, right. Well, I'm going to ask you another serious question. So, what's your opinion on the planet's health? And what do you think the major problems are? Major problems are for global leaders to save our planet, basically.
Yeah, I think it's quite frightening that nobody is really taking it as seriously as they need to. It's like I have 3 young children, and you don't want them kind of living a life like these past couple of weeks. We've seen what happens when the world, as we know, gets turned upside down into bedlam, and I think people are happy to go around living their lives with with a blinkered view, and nothing's ever going to happen. Everyone's going to be just the way it is. We'll just fly on regardless. And I think this is really showing, I hope, that isn't necessarily the case. And it also shows that whenever action is needed to be taken in a drastic, urgent manner, it can happen. So what I would like to see is that some really strong policy coming in. And what it needs is a real leader to take it on. If someone like Boris had the balls to do it, to stand up and say that we are going to be the leaders. I always think in Northern Ireland that we have the opportunity, because we're a small country and we're really rural in terms of the actual how the geography of the land is, that we have an opportunity to be able to say, look, we will really push renewables, and we'll try to become carbon neutral, and we'll try to do this, that, and the other. But people are scared to stick their neck in the line and do it. But I think if one person, somebody influential enough, does it and takes a lead, I think it would be. You imagine if Trump said, and instead of going the other way that he has done, like it'd be incredible. The world would change in 5 years, But
would Trump be put in power if he was peddling saving the planet, because all the big multinationals wouldn't back him?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, everything boils down to pound notes, and you can't make pound notes and save the planet if you're a big corporation. And I think we need to change that, and I think we will change that. I'll be very positive on it. That was a very good answer to that. Which marine mammal are you most like, and why?
There'll be some people who are going to watch this and are going to make some jokes, like Louis Gandolfo, definitely.
What was he going to say?
Louis likes to make whale noises at me.
Lobster ones at me.
Yeah. Marine mammal. It's a difficult one. I have no idea. The orcas are pretty cool.
Orcas, yeah, that'd be mine, actually. They would definitely be mine. Right.
Cool.
I want you to tell me what your greatest tip for a budding entrepreneur would be.
I mean, there's a few things. What things that I have done that have like really and continue to help me are to surround myself with people who are like a really close network of people who are in a similar kind of boat, but who also will encourage each other and push each other on.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to surround myself with I joined an organisation called the Ireland Funds a couple of years ago, and the Ireland Funds is a major philanthropy organisation in Ireland, and it helps. It's one of the it's quite old, it's long running.
Like round table type thing.
Say again?
Like a round table.
No, the Ireland Funds that would be like the ethos would be it's like a global network for people. So it's obviously the Irish diaspora are all, and the Irish generational network is huge and global. And as part of that, there's like a young leader network, and within that network, there's a lot of very good people who are very open. The sort of premise of joining it is that you'll get a really good network of people, but you're also given the opportunity to help and give something back, and identify charities, and it just opens your eyes a little bit. But the people that I've got to meet through that organisation, they're all people who are either already very successful or on their way to being, very successful. So with a lot of those people within that group, I would have some very close friends now who, everyone owns their own business and employs people, and but we find opportunities together to be able to, do business. And if there's things come on, if there's like an opportunity comes up that somebody will hear about, then there'll be introductions made. It's all very positive. And
sounds like the Irish Masons.
It's not quite like that, but it's the Ireland Funds is good because it gives you that international reach.
Yeah.
So it's good. It used to be, I think it used to be called the Irish American Funds. I guess if you're not knowing this, but but it's huge in America. So I think it traditionally was started for an avenue for philanthropy. Is huge in the States, and it was about people with the Irish connection to be able to help, charities and organisations back in Ireland, help them kind of succeed, or people in need, or in communities that need help. So it now gives us here that link in New York and Washington, and and further afield with again very successful people and people who have done some really, really amazing things, but who just want to have that connection with Ireland and and where their ancestors are from. So it's a really amazing organisation, but it's also from a personal and business perspective, it's a really good way to get to know and get in front of some really exceptional people. So you're always more than happy to help you out if they can, or to have a cup of coffee with you, or and we're talking some serious hitters within the business world. So it's a good setup.
That sounds great. And so, Ricky, in 3 months' time, we're coming out of the lockdown. 6 months' time, whatever it is, where do you think the opportunities in business are going to be?
There's obviously, unfortunately, I think a lot of businesses, aren't going to be able to, survive, depending on how long it goes on. I think a lot of people will maybe just, either be forced to close, or just, do the security in another job. So for someone like me, and again, the guys that I've kind of mentioned earlier on, I think there's, like, when this all started happening and I knew that it was going to be closed down, my kind of thought was, I really want to try to be one of the winners that comes out of this, and I don't mean by, making doing anything out of line or profiteering off a horrendous situation, but just being able to, the likes of the video content, for example, that we create in this animation. So there was an opportunity to work with, well, it was through Susie that, my wife was a clinical psychologist in the Belfast hospital for sick children, and so we wrote this script, or well, Susie wrote the script, and we then developed it as like a project that we had no business on. Everything died off in the space of a week, and so we created this script and then created this animation and put it out. Because we knew that this would have been, it was a video for primary school aged kids to understand what the coronavirus was.
Right.
And it went viral. Like we've probably had about close to 1 million views globally. So it was unbelievable. And then we had things like the Italian healthcare system contacted us and asked, could we translate it into Italian so that they could show it in their children's hospitals, and then somebody from the Spanish did the same. And so it's just been insane. So it was taking that kind of attitude of, this is not a good time, and things are going to get difficult for a moment, for a while, but let's try to be positive, and what can we do either to help the situation, or if we haven't got work on, we're not going to sit around excuse me, feeling sorry for ourselves. What can we do to be able to kind of find an opportunity? So that was what we did, and off the back of that we ended up picking up quite a lot of other work, so which again will see us right through to the end of hopefully the next couple of months anyway. But
so you're still working?
Yeah, we've been as busy as ever, so it's difficult because
towards the marketing away from the events, isn't it?
Well, the events closed down within a week. It was horrifying. So we had like a big an awards dinner on the 26th of March, I think it was, 24th of March, and that was the first one to drop off. And we had done a lot of work on it, so it was it's heartbreaking for that to happen. But there's other people's jobs on the line here, so you're kind of going right, But it was all in that period of things were up in the air, and the government hadn't closed anything down. But you kind of knew this was coming, so it was a very strange time. And then just a string of things just happened, and I lost like a lot of work in a very short space of time. Now we're in a good position, business wise, so we're not concerned, we've got, we're okay right through to the end of the year, so we've been kind of. My dad, being the businessman that he is, always said to me to make sure that you've got enough for a rainy day, and here we are in the middle of the down court. So luckily enough we'll be okay, and now we're because of the video stuff that we're able to continue to be busy. So we have a lot of very loyal clients and the big corporates, the big international corporate companies. So they're not stopping working. They're just they'll just change what they do, and they won't be able to do sales and business development face to face. A lot of it will be done over this, but that people will need really good quality, graphics and animation and video content to be able to sell our business, and that's what we are doing. So we're just trying to really make sure that people know that we do that better than most people. So yeah.
As a content marketer, what's your number one tip for somebody who wants to start content marketing?
No, I would say know your audience. I think a lot of people tout. I see this a lot on LinkedIn, and it really bothers me. A lot of people push, like videos on the phone. Like, you see people sitting in the car on their video, and themselves doing like talking in the morning about some. That really winds me up, because I think you need to be really careful about what you're saying, about your messaging, and who you're trying to talk to. And if you get that wrong, what that says to your customers. So the first thing we would do when we sit down with people, as a prospective clients, would be to talk to them about what they're trying to achieve with it, and what they think. People go, we want an animation. You're going to go, okay, let's talk about what it is that you are trying to, what are you trying to achieve out of paying, because they're expensive, they're time consuming, and they're expensive to create. So you want to make sure you get it right. So I would say to people, right, who is it you're trying to talk to, and what is it that you're trying to say to them? And then from there we can work backwards and kind of go, right, well, maybe it isn't all talking heads. Doesn't need to be you in front of a camera. We could do this in a very subtle, with some cool little character animations to get across your messaging in a much simpler way, rather than. So I would really focus on what it is you're trying to say and who you're trying to say it to.
Messaging is key, isn't it? But I think content needs to be good as well.
There's some awful stuff around there, and a lot of stuff we've seen recently. People have come to us because they've bought, like, you can make your own animations online, like little packages you get.
Yeah.
And they thought, well, we'll be clever here and we'll get around it. And they'll come to you and they'll get the ideas and they'll go. And that's fair enough. They can get the ideas, but then they go away and try to build it. And then they come back and go, would I like to employ you, please? That's not quite as easy as it looks.
I mean, it is quite hard. Animation is really tough. I work with an artist who's an illustrator, but to actually make something on video is very difficult because you've got to create it and then you've got to put it and whatever. But yeah, I love it. I love video content. It's number one now, isn't it?
Well, Kieran, who works with me, he's an absolute. I said to him so often, like he's an absolute genius with it. Like he's just got a very creative mind. Like I'm not. I'm the salesperson, the business development, and I find the opportunities and work with our clients in terms of getting it done. But Kieran, make no mistake, is the genius behind what it looks like on screen. But it's a lot. I know it's a long, tedious process, like particularly with characters and things like that. It's very it's very difficult. I can hear the pain in Kieran's voice when I'm asking him to just knock up a wee character. I was like, yeah, quite that simple.
It's all about the planning and the brief, isn't it? Because it can easily just morph into something that you weren't expecting. It might be great, but it might not get the message that you're after. I mean, I've done loads, and I believe trial and error is the best bet. But if you're spending 30 grand, it's not.
No, no, Jesus.
And I get that. So how's life? What's the benefits to you from COVID-19 lockdown? Because there is benefits. Forget the negatives. What's the benefit?
Well, I'm in a weird because Susie works in the hospital.
Yeah.
I find myself being the full-time parent of 3 small children, under 6. So it's hard going, but it's been really nice. Like I do work quite a lot and quite long hours and quite a lot of evenings. So like I wouldn't get to see them as much as I would like. On holidays are few and far between. But so it's been really nice to be able to spend kind of so much time with them.
Yeah.
Now it's bonkers. Like I've been on the phone with you a bit for the past couple of days, and you've heard it's crazy. The chaos. But you get to like 7 o'clock bedtime, and you're like, when the kids go to bed, and you're just like, but it's been really good. Like it's been like, particularly my daughter is she just turned 1 last week, and she's got really close to me, which has been really lovely. And like the other 2, like we get to do some really cool stuff. Like we're really lucky to live by the sea. So we're really lucky to live by the sea.
Yeah.
So you're allowed or whatever, 1 or 2 miles from your house, so we can walk down and be on the seafront, in 5 minutes. And we have another big like wood like park near us. Yeah. So we're really lucky. We have so much outdoor space, so we can go and like the boys just run wild, on their scooters or run off into the forest, which is brilliant. And so it's been really lovely to get sort of to connect with them. It's quite when there's work going on, the phone's ringing. It's not so much. So much fun.
Could you imagine living in a 2-bedroom flat in a 20-story flat in London? I mean, what about those poor people? Imagine living on your own.
I know.
That's what I'm on my own, unfortunately.
I know.
Very tough. Right, Ricky, we're coming to the end now. So when I do my podcasts, I always give people the last question they can ask me. They only ask me one question. So you've got one question. Make it a good one.
Oh, I did have a good one now.
Yeah, but you've forgotten.
I've forgotten, yeah. Ask me one more and I'll remember it. Give us another question and I'll come back. I did have a good question for you.
Right, okay. If you could be any type of car, what would it be and why?
I quite like a pickup truck.
I do as well.
I think they're quite cool. Very
rugged.
Yeah, rugged and sturdy.
Bigger than the normal car, aren't they? I mean, I would say I was a dumper truck, but you can be a truck. So you've got that one question, Ricky. What is it?
All right. So, you mentioned earlier, I've known you for about 20 years or so, and you've done various bits and pieces. Where do you see yourself in sort of 10 years' time? And when you look back at your life, where do you see like the successes that you've done, from a career point of view?
10 years' time, I'd like to be in a position where I don't have to work, but I still will. I'll never retire. I've always said that. I'll never retire. So that's my dream for 10 years. I think everything I've done, and I've done some weird and wonderful stuff, I think it's all been part of the journey. Somebody laughed at me when I turned a rundown sports bar into one of the best cocktail bars in the world. Who would have thought that? Before in the bar, I thought a cocktail was putting lime in a fucking gin and tonic. So I like lots of it, but I think it's the fact that I've travelled the road less travelled. So I've done things that I never thought I would do. And I find that waking up in the morning, not knowing what I'm going to do is exciting for me. I'm not into routine. So I think that...
Have you ever had a job?
Pardon?
Have you ever had like a job, like a proper go to work for someone and they pay you a wage?
Yeah, I was a quantity surveyor for a number of years. That's what I did at university. So accounting in the construction industry. So I did that as soon as I left uni. So I worked 5 years in the construction industry. I hated the corporate world. That's why I got out. Good question, Ricky. Does that suffice?
Yeah. I find it difficult to be told what to do in a job situation. I think I'm a terrible employee, which is one of the things that encouraged me to. I hated being constrained by someone else's ideas and saying you have to do this. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that made me go, I need to do this myself.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is autonomy. We all want autonomy, whether you're packing a box or whether you're designing the Empire State Building. We still want autonomy, the way we handle that. And I think we're too linear in everything we do, education, business. You have to do it the way that you're told to do it. And as humans, we don't like to do that.
Yeah.
At
all.
Yeah.
You mentioned something.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. You mentioned something about linear in education. There's one thing I think in education which would help hugely with entrepreneurship and is teaching sales as in the education. Like if you want to be good at your career, whether you have like a traditional job or you want to start a business and be entrepreneurial, then it all comes down to being able to sell to people and know where your price point is, but getting people to buy into why they should take your product or service. And it's just kind of taken into...
I disagree. So I don't think sales can be taught. A sales process can be taught. But I believe as human beings, we're selling every second we're alive. Why do you wear nice clothes? Why do you wear a watch? Why do you drive that car? Why do you sit with those friends? It's all about selling yourself to other people. So I think we learn from a very young age, but there's, like in everything, there's people who are better at selling themselves than others who are not. I've always been great at selling myself. It's one of my great tools. Might not be particularly good behind it, but I can sell myself.
Yeah, that's your point.
I think the education system needs to be less linear and less about getting the right grades. But I wouldn't, because I never got any good grades. Ricky, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, and I'd love to have you back in a couple of months' time, because I'm hoping we're going to start doing these more regularly. Thank you very much for being the first person, and hopefully a big cuddle and a kiss next time I see you.
I look forward to it, Mick. All the best.
Okay.
Right.
So, Saturday night, the big night, date night, Saturday night, Saturday night.
No plans, huh?
Not a one.
Stop taking my chips! Stop taking my chips, okay?
Okay.